Hello, everybody. Welcome to SquareTalk. Our topic today is appearance. We're going to be looking at appearance in every dimension that we can think about, and we would love to hear back from you a question, a suggestion, just anything to add to what we've said. We're not experts, we're just discussing things as we see them, as we know them, and according to what the scripture says about the topic. It's me, your host, Blessing, and co host, Jay.
Hello, hello.
Right, so we're talking about appearance today, Jay. Um, do we want to think what is appearance? What does it mean to you? What does it mean to me? What does it mean to other people? But we always hear the slogan or the phrase, do not judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
And some people will take that as meaning a book as a book, or a book as a person, or like do not judge a present by do not judge the content of a box by the packaging.
Yeah.
If to say that. So, what do you think appearance is? How would you define appearance?
Well, to use the dictionary definition for appearance, one says the way someone looks, or the way that someone or something looks, and the second being an act of performing or participating in a public event. So that gives appearance two meanings, to be honest. One being someone's physical appearance, how they actually look, and then the second being how they act or how they perform in front of others. So it sounds like appearance has two meanings.
How a person looks and how a person acts or performs. Yeah. So in the culture we live in today, where we've got all kinds of appearances, honestly, people range from clothing to looks to everything. We live in a generation now where everything is about beauty. Beauty is very important. I mean, just take a look at the beauty industry. There's virtually everything available there for you to look good. And I think I've heard somewhere where it says looking good is good business. So it means importance is placed on what someone looks like,
Yeah.
how they dress, and what about how they speak or how they act?
Um, I feel like a lot of people act the way they looked. They act the way they look, or they look the way they act. So if somebody has a lot of money, or they drive flashy cars, or they wear expensive clothes, people are people are like like they feel, or they're used to somebody like that acting a certain way. But if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, or they work a normal job, people are used to them acting a certain way. So again, that can be like appearance stereotypes. People expect certain people to look a certain way and act a certain way. So
I'll go to verse in the scripture, it's First Samuel chapter 16, verse 7. And the message translation says, but God told Samuel, looks aren't everything. And I think that's just about what we're talking about today. Looks aren't everything. This is God saying to the prophet Samuel in 1 Samuel chapter 16, when God asked Samuel to take a flask of oil to Jesse's house to anoint the next king. And Jesse came and saw Eliab and thought, whoa, he looks like a king. He looks regal. He looks royal. He looks masculine. He looks everything a king should look like. But that was from Samuel's perspective. And then God went further to say, don't be impressed with his looks and stature. Don't be impressed with what he looks like and his size. I've already eliminated him. So God judges people differently than we judge people. That's what God says. It says men and women look at the faces. So we look at people's faces, we look at the way they act, the way they dress, but God looks into the heart of man. That's what appearance means to God. In that way, what do you think? Is our society still working with an appearance as Prophet Samuel perceived?
um yeah, I feel like in this society there's a lot of pressure on how people look or how people act, especially with looks, especially because of a lot of things have become a lot of things have become based on how people look or what they have to make them look good. Like plastic surgery is only just a new thing, and other than its obvious health effect, like health benefits and real world situations where it would be needed, majority of the time it's just used to make people look good. It's like you're customizing a character. You go in there, you tell them you don't want this nose, you want to change how your leg looks a bit, you don't like how your cheeks sit. Like that stuff isn't necessary to your survival. Whereas somebody who's getting plastic surgery because they got their leg blown off and they're getting it put back on in a realistic way, the two parallels are very different. So it just shows that things that were made to help people are still being used for vanity's sake. Yeah.
I like the word customize. And I think that's the world we're living right now where everything and anything can be customized. And we're still doing the same thing Prophet Samuel did, the same mistake or the same perception that we judge based according to what people look, the physical appearance.
Yeah.
Or you look beautiful, that means you must be a smart person or you dress smart. I remember when I started wearing glasses. Now I think when you started wearing glasses as well, people tend to look at you as a nerdy person. You're wearing glasses, so you must be very smart. But I don't think I'm very smart when I'm wearing glasses. I mean,
I don't feel like I'm very smart when I'm wearing glasses.
Glasses doesn't make you look smart. But when we think of appearance, I think appearance is a personal thing, is a perspective.
Yeah.
Because we have cultures where uh, certain things are acceptable, certain things are part of the norm, the culture. That's the way. There's some certain part of Africa where they have tribal marks,
Yeah.
and then you have the particular areas where they have to have these massive what do we call them, plates or something
Yeah,
on
like
their lips,
piercings.
their ears. So that's a cultural appearance. So you tend to recognize those people from what they look like.
Yeah.
You see these people and say, oh, these are Maasai people because they're dressed that way. We see the Arabs, they're dressed in a certain way. We recognize them easily as Arab because of the way they dress. We see a policeman, we know he's a policeman because he appears as a policeman.
Yeah.
But then we now live in a, what do you call this? The role play, the costume,
Yeah.
cosplay,
Yeah, cosplay.
where people are dressing up as a character. So in that case, if somebody dresses up as a policeman and knocks on my door, and I don't know the real look of a police uniform, it means I'll judge that person as a policeman because he looks.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So now your second definition was the action or act. Yeah, that's what you said. The act of somebody, the impression. So the impression given by someone or something in our world today. How would you expatiate on that when someone's performing or something?
With from real world experience, when I've been hanging out with somebody that I've known for a while, or that I've spent time with somebody alone, and then I'll spend time with them in a public setting or in a public event. Uh, the way the way that they kind of changed how they act, or changed the way they talk, or the way they move, or the way they do things when they're around that group of people, it kind of shows me that okay, yeah, people are prone to acting. It may be just the people that they're around that they want to impress, and that's the reason why they change how they act or they change their appearance. So that's what I've seen from at least for that second definition. I've seen real world examples of that second definition being true.
So would it then be safe to say appearance could be locational?
Yeah.
That someone could act in a certain way in a certain place, and then in a different situation, act in a different way or
Yeah.
perform in a different way. Because at the end of the day, really, our appearance is mostly used for impression purposes.
Yeah. I would say that.
So it depends on who you're trying to impress. So appearance could
Oh, I
go.
just remembered something now.
Okay.
The word facade, one of the definitions for the word facade means a deceptive outward appearance. So if somebody, just like how if I'm with somebody now and they're acting different around other people, they're putting on a facade, which still counts as an appearance. It's just a deceptive one.
Do you know, there are a lot of words that seem to have gone out of the dictionary, and that's one of them. Facade. I can't remember the last time I heard that word.
It's just, people don't use it as much.
People don't use such words anymore. We now have some new words. I was laughing the other day because someone was saying on national TV that the word lol is now in the dictionary.
What?
And I thought, how can lol be in the dictionary? It's an abbreviation. But hey, that's the world we're living right now. Yeah. So when we're seeing people, now let's talk about modification. I think that's part of the appearances. We see, I'm bringing this up because I saw this a few days ago again on the news. The guy that's covered in tattoo from head to toe, honestly, you can tell what he was originally because he's that inked. And now he's lamenting that they chase him out of McDonald's because he's caring children. Nobody wants to employ him because of the way he looks. And I'm thinking, how did it get so bad?
Yeah, how did it get that far that you'd be getting kicked out of places for what you've done to yourself?
So that's about body modification that was supposed to enhance his appearance. But in this case now, it's creating a negative.
Well, it's probably because of this saying is too much of a good thing is bad. So maybe at a certain point, maybe the amount of things he had on his body looked good, and then he just kept going. I don't know. Maybe we don't know why he kept going. Maybe he was going for the sake of his own. Just he likes doing it, or for other people. But he probably kept going to a point where it started to look bad, or at least it started to be excess, and then that excess is what now turned into him being turned away from places and things being denied of him because of how he looks.
So we're looking at that gentleman now. We're thinking, what's driving people? Because you have other people who are trying to change themselves into all manners of things. People inking themselves so bad. The other day was the black alien. He's literally turned himself. He looks like the green alien, but now he is a black one. He's inked himself into black and done all this surgery, I should think, to change the shape of his head, make it smaller, put the forked tongue and piercing all over the place. And I'm thinking, why are we doing these things? This is supposed to be on appearance as well. But what appearance are you trying to portray here? Because we are humans. We live in a human race. So when you're trying to change yourself to be like an alien, how does that fit into the society we live in?
I don't think it won't. Even I've even seen things of people getting plastic surgery to look like the next Ken doll or Barbie doll. It's like those are toys that were made for children. Why are you now trying to emulate that in your real life with your real money and dedicate your time and effort to something that is a toy for a child? Like that doesn't sound right to me.
A general modification of everything, yeah. So the unconventionality of appearance, it's what's mind-boggling these days. The 80s hairstyle, the 70s hairstyle, the 60s clothing, the 90s clothing and everything. And then what are we now? 20s? I don't know. Yeah. And then we've got all these upside down things. I know you mentioned earlier about people making themselves or appearing what they're not to drive the flashy car.
Yeah.
When you can't afford it, you probably don't even have the money to buy the petrol, but you're driving the flashy car, trying to impress people that, oh, here I am, I'm a rich guy, I'm well-to-do and all that. And then you have someone on the other hand who's trying to be as invisible as possible. I don't want people to know I'm here. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. I've got the money to make the noise, but I choose not to. Yeah. How does that relate to our present world? What do you think?
I feel like one thing that has really damaged the world that we're in is social media. I was having this talk with my friends yesterday, and that social media has made people feel entitled to a lot of things. Social media has made it so that if you type in a Lamborghini, you will find hundreds upon millions of results about Lamborghinis. Right there at your fingertips. You didn't have to go look for it. You just had to type it and it's there. If you want to find how somebody looks, you type it in and you find it. If you want to compare yourself, you type it and you find it. So social media has given everybody everything to the point where people think they own everything. People think they need everything. People think they are everything when without social media, this world would be just as big as it still is. It's just that social media has kind of shrunk it. It's made it look smaller, but it's still just as big as it's always been.
Yeah. So in effect, we're creating a deceptive world.
Yeah, there's a social media world, and then there's the real world. There's people who do things solely for social media. I think when the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, there were the countless videos of people going outside during those protests and posing next to dilapidated buildings after they've just been rioted and raided, standing there posing, and then they'll turn the camera off and get in their car and drive out of the area. So it's like, what? You're not doing that because you care about the protest. You're doing that because you care about your reception on social media. Yeah.
That's a good one, because that's what everybody does. Posing by a flashy car, making it look like, oh, this is my car, and standing by a lovely building. And I don't know, it just, to me, it's going back to that word deception. We know appearance is not good to judge people based on what they look like and how they sound and maybe how they act. But sometimes you just wonder, how far would people go to create the right or acceptable appearance?
Well, that's the thing with this world. With the way it's going, there's no. I feel like they're trying to get rid of the word right. They're trying to get rid of the word moral. They're trying to get rid of the word normal, acceptable, because now everything is a lot of things are just becoming accepted and allowed and normalized. When back then you had something that was wrong and something that was right, but now they're trying to just put everything in the middle and make it all middle ground and ambiguous.
And I think again that will bring us back to that: do not judge a book by its cover. It's the baseline for appearances. So we're looking at certain groups of people, and you think there's the beautiful people. Again, let's go back to the fashion industry. They do modeling. They've got models, but right now there's some modeling that I just can't stop but laugh. You wonder who's gonna wear these clothes in real life. Where are you gonna wear this to? What are you doing? What are you doing? What's this? And this is what's called fashion. And I expect people are gonna pay a lot of money to try and buy those things. But where on earth are you gonna wear some of those things that be modeled?
What situation would call for you to wear a hat that covers your entire head and neck and body? You can't even see
You can't even see where you're going.
You can't even see the person that's underneath the hat.
So you have this thing that says, oh, the beautiful people and the handsome people, and we tend to think if you're beautiful and handsome, or if you're rich. I think if you're rich, you have to be beautiful and handsome, but that doesn't really equate, does it? Because
but it may look like it equates because, again, social media, maybe perfect example, the Kardashians. If you saw photos of these people before they had money, you wouldn't think anything. Okay, it's just a normal person. But you could slowly see when the family started to make money, they all simultaneously transitioned to a new appearance. Everybody looked the same. Everybody started dressing the same. Everybody started having the same aura, the same presence around them. But that was only because they had the money. Before that money, they were all a normal family. So money really does play especially with these beautiful and handsome. In nowadays, I don't know if a lot of people, but from what I've seen on social media, when people get money, they slowly transition to the person that they thought they were, the person they wanted to be.
That's a good way. When money talks, when you have money talks. And the Bible says to the love of money is the root of evil. The money itself is not evil, because the money is a messenger. It can do a lot of things, good or bad. But when you have too much of money and you don't know what to do with it, also you have more money than sense. But I don't think people actually realize that these people, these rich people, these so beautiful people had a past life. And money's changed them and brought them this beautiful life that they have. So you who's working a 9-to-5 regular job and have bills and tons of bills to pay, you're looking at these people who have a lot of money in the bank, and you're trying to emulate them, trying to live like them, wanting to shop in the same places where they shop, eat the same food they eat.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, well, it's not going to work because that's a false appearance you're creating.
It's a facade.
I don't know if you remember a year, I can't remember what year now, there was a student we had years ago, and he was gung ho about wanting to buy a Gucci wallet. I think it was a Gucci wallet.
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, and I kept wondering, why do you want a Gucci wallet? Because he just saw the Gucci shop in City Center. So he went and he bought the Gucci wallet for £600. Was it a Gucci wallet? Yeah, it was one of those designers' wallets.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think it was a Gucci wallet. It was why well, one of those expensive brands.
Yeah.
So he went and he bought the wallet for £600. And I kept saying to him, now you've got a wallet for £600. What are you going to put inside? And he goes, oh, it's just the appearance that he's got to a wallet. And you're smiling because I know you know where the story is going. Because 3 days later, he was jumped. 3 days later, he was jumped, and there was not a single penny in the wallet. The guys who took the wallet sadly did not know the value of the wallet because they took the only £10 that was left the wallet and chucked the wallet in the bushes, which turned out well for him because the neighbor who found the wallet was just a few doors away from our house. And his ID card was inside.
You buy an expensive wallet.
Yeah.
They take the wallet, and they don't even take the wallet because it's expensive.
Because they didn't know the worth, they didn't know the value of that wallet. So that's the thing, the richness of the idea of wanting to appear rich when you can't sustain the riches. You don't have the money, you don't have £50 to put in a £600 wallet, but you went out and you spent £600 on a wallet. And then when it was stolen, the thieves unfortunately didn't realize that wallet was worth more than
inside
was inside. Because all they had to do was check the what do you call them? The brand stamp inside, and hey presto, they would have hit the jackpot. But this is the thing, we all want to associate with handsome people, beautiful people, the popular people, the influencers, the rich people, and sometimes we know that the appearance is not what they are, but regardless, we just flow with them. Yeah. We know the character, the attitude, the behavior, it's all contrary to what it should be, but we still flow with them. What do you think about that? I mean, in your generation, like you would say.
That is I've always tried to keep those people at an arm's reach because it doesn't sit right with me when if you're acting a certain way for the sake of money, or at least like I've been to maybe 3 clubs in my life, and every time I've been to the club, I've not enjoyed it because the whole aura is just putting on a facade, putting on an appearance, putting on looks for people that you're not gonna see again unless you went out of your way to see them again. Like are you going to a club and everybody's dressing everyone's dressing flashy, lights are going everywhere, people are getting bottles and this and that, and it's like that kind of environment isn't going to breed any good conversation. It's not going to breed any ideas. It's just there for people to be vain and do what they want to do in an environment that lets them do it. It doesn't necessarily mean that maybe every single person in the club when I was there was a great person, but I wouldn't know because of the situation they were in and the appearance that everybody gave.
Yeah, and that's what the Bible says in John chapter 7, verse 24. Not to judge according to appearances, but to practice righteous judgment. Again, that's going back to what 1 Samuel 16 says. Look inwards. But how are we supposed to know what is inside of a person when all they're portraying is the outward appearance? How do you know what characters, what attitude, and what behavior defines a person when all you see is the outward appearance? Literally, that's what we see.
Yeah. One thing for me would be to isolate that person or to spend time with that person alone, just you and them, because obviously, as we've talked, people maybe have locational appearances or put on a facade when they're with other people. So if you're with somebody by yourself, unless that person is also trying to impress you. And even then, if you know the person properly, you can just tell them straight, you don't have to impress me. I don't have any sort of means to make you famous if you impress me. Like that doesn't do anything for me. So just be real, be transparent, be open. Because when they're transparent and open with you, that's when you can really see them for who they are, and then you make your judgment. It's not them molding your idea of them, because that doesn't really set up for a healthy relationship if they're always trying to keep up the idea of them in your head. Like that doesn't make sense.
Do you feel like society has a role to play in what people look, sound, and act like? Is there an expectation?
There is an expectation already, but for society to keep upholding it, I don't think so. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it benefits anyone if society just keeps putting out new beauty standards, putting out new norms for the male body or the female body, keeps putting out ideas for people's hair and clothes and stuff like that. Like, okay, yeah, it's good. That stuff, we still need those things to for people to, like, there's a lot of people that have made their empires off of just makeup, and that's not a bad thing, but I don't think they should then make that makeup a thing that has to be used, and if you don't use it then you'll feel weird. Even if you don't say that you feel weird, you will still feel weird if you don't use makeup. Some people are like that, and I feel like it's just it may not, it's probably not going to go away, because at this point now the fashion industry, the beauty industry is too big to fail. If there's nothing that could happen that could stop it from working. So at this point now, people just need to, I feel like people just need to kind of turn a blind eye to it, and just kind of let it do its own thing, and you kind of find your own standard of beauty, your own. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but now society is the eye of the beholder. So it's society's choice of what looks good and what doesn't,
What doesn't look
instead of
good?
you deciding what looks good and what doesn't.
And then we have those categories of situations or people where you think you can fit into this group and you don't fit into this group because you don't have this, or I mean there seems to be a standard of measurement. So you move with this set of people because you qualify.
Yeah.
As in, you're tall, you're short, you're dark, you're fair, you're slim, you're curvy. Like my daughter will say, don't say fat. Well, I'm fat. That's okay. I'm not happy with that. Or how do you do that? As if to say you can only be my friend if you fall into the category that I've placed there, regardless of what the inside of you is. It's what you appear to be that counts most.
Well, I think again that comes back to the entitlement that social media gives everybody, because you can easily search up people with long hair,
Yeah.
or you can search up somebody that does this or that, or that has this or that. You in turn will start feeling predisposed to those things, and if somebody doesn't have them, they don't meet your requirements because that's not what you like. Obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinion and their preference, but at a certain point, when does your preference become discriminatory? When do you stop, like, when do you completely shut somebody down because they don't meet your preference, when your preference may not be realistic, or it doesn't make sense in other contexts? If somebody is talking to you about your mortgage or your house, things that matter, are you gonna then not listen to them because they don't have eyelashes and nice blush on? It's just things like that. It's like there has to be a certain environment where those things do not matter, because you still need to have proper conversations one to one with people. And then there's sometimes when maybe they do matter. Maybe you're taking photos, okay, you want people to look good, but it's not every time that appearance should be the forefront of everyone's mind, because it's not the forefront of every situation in life. So that's what I think.
That's very good, and that takes us straight into what First Peter chapter 3, verse 3 to 4 says. It says, "What matters is not your outer appearance, the styling of your hair, the jewelry you wear, the cut of your clothes, but your inner disposition And if you look at the way it's worded, it's just exactly what God said to Samuel in 1 Samuel chapter 16. It's not the outward appearance, it's not the brand. And that seems to be the norm, the brand. The more expensive, the more acceptable it is. I don't know who was showing me a shoe brand the other day and was saying it's made with real blood. And I'm thinking, why would you make a shoe like that? Who's going to wear that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that was the. Was it when did they show you?
I think it was you that showed me, or
Oh yeah, it was probably like last year. It was when that rapper Lil Nas did that shoe with Nike and he put blood in it. He put blood in the heel of the shoe. Again, that's appearance sake. Some people's appearances are grunge or goth, which is like dark, mysterious, devilish things like that. That's again, what's that going to?
what does it change?
What does it change? What does it show? What is it? If you like those things as an appearance, then what would that say about you inward? Again, appearance and someone's inward feeling and attitude may not be the same, but if you like things like that with blood, or you're putting blood in a shoe, what would it then say about how you think?
How you think, yeah.
And if people already attach appearances to how they act, then I wouldn't be in the wrong, because somebody would think the same thing, or at least they would think the same thing about what I like.
Oh, it's very scary when you think about it like that. Because if you're trying to appear somehow and you want us to think you're not that person or that thing, it's difficult because they say first impression matters a lot. So if your first impression is not a good one, it's really difficult to say what and how you act in a normal situation. Now, it's interesting or ironic that the things we think are not written on our foreheads, so no one can see your thoughts. You're the only one privy to your thought. But if someone's well dressed, we don't really know if they're an axe murderer. We don't know who a rapist is because they're not dressed as such. They're probably well dressed. I mean, we're hearing stories all over the place of things that are going on, and in churches, in schools, and places where those things shouldn't be happening. But that's happening. But that's not the appearance they created. That's not the impression they created. And again, that's not the truth. So you've given us this false, what did you call it? Facade.
Yeah.
You've given us a facade that's not real. But we've bought into that facade, and we're not seeing the backstory. We're not seeing what's going on behind. So when that backstory becomes public
It's not a
knowledge,
scandal
it
because
becomes a
that
scandal.
wasn't what you put out originally, but that's what people are finding out about
Yeah.
you.
Well, sadly, that's what happens. That's what's happening in our society right now. Brands. Everybody's going for the names. Everybody's going for the popularity. Everybody's going for the goodness. So it's not if it's a good thing. It's not
It's if it looks good.
if it looks good.
Yeah, it's not if it's a good thing, it's if it looks good.
Okay. If it looks good, it's accepted. So you're not really bothered if it's a good thing, as long as you can give it a tick and say, "Oh wow, that's good." And I think when you talked about social media, when you look at social media, sometimes you wonder why are people living almost all their lives on social media. Hey, you look at me. I'm in the toilets. I'm having my tea. I'm lying down. I'm doing this. I look at that. I think, are they? Is it a self-esteem issue? Why? Why are you trying to sell your life to the public?
I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe it's for the validation, but again, this isn't real life. People will tell you on social media, "Oh, you look this and that," and then you leave the house and nobody's batting an eye at you. But that may not be because you don't look good. That's just because your 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 idea of yourself on social media is completely different to your idea of self in real life. So
Talking about that, let's talk about the ideal or the perfect photo. Again, that's on that part of appearance, the perfect photo. People seem to prepare themselves, get themselves ready, put on the right clothes, get the right shades of makeup, and then get the right lighting for the perfect photo because you never know where that photo is going to get to. And when they take all those things off, you're wondering like, is that a different person?
Even the same.
It's the same person. And people go to such extraordinary lengths to get the perfect photo taken. And you're just wondering, how much of your hard-earned money do you pour into trying to make yourself into what you're not? The expense of keeping up the appearances. I don't know how many people remember that, and I loved it so much. Keeping Up Appearances used to be a sitcom, a British sitcom. And I loved it because it's all about wanting to keep up with the rich people, wanting to look good, wanting to sound good, house proud, and everything. But it wasn't really ideal because most times when Mrs. Hyacinth sees the same people she's trying to impress and she's not in a good place, she hides. So she's constantly hiding. She's all the time looking for corners to hide so that someone who she's created this impression for doesn't see her and go, well, what are you doing here? This is not you. So I think that's a real thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a real thing. But I've even found myself doing it sometimes. I'm guilty of it a little bit.
Yeah.
Then maybe there's times I'll be in a, but it's back and forth. Maybe there's times I'll be in a place and I'll be like, why is this person here? I don't want this person to see me, and I'll kind of get out of their way. But at the same time, if I'm there and they're there, then there's a reason why we're both doing some. It may just depend on the situation. But again, let's back to appearance. I guess yeah. If you're used to seeing people in a certain environment, and then now even a perfect example, I work at a studio, and the studio owner, some of the people in the studio haven't seen him do normal things. Just like I haven't seen my boss at work do normal things. I've only seen him in work. So when I've been in studio and I'll see studio boss making some food or watching football. But when I first saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's weird. I've not really seen you do that before." That's kind of obviously that's just he's not gone out of his way to show that to me.
Yeah, he's normal. He needs to do
He's
those
normal.
things.
He still has the different sides of his eyes. So everybody's normal. If you're telling me that somebody so rich shouldn't go to a supermarket because they're rich, what does that change? They're still a normal person like you and me. So why wouldn't they do the normal things? Is it because of their appearance that they should be doing something else?
Well, so do not trust people who make themselves who look good or not look good or whatever. So you think, oh, this person looks trustworthy, or this person doesn't look trustworthy. I think again, when you look at someone who's covered in tattoo like that gentleman on the news, he's covered in tattoo. You're not going to leave your child with that person.
Well, who says you wouldn't though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You would think straight away. No, I'm saying on first impression. You see, all right, you've just put an advert out for
Okay,
child minded.
this is interesting now.
Okay.
Why would you seeing that person with all the tattoos? Why would your first impression be to not leave a child with them?
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying me particularly.
Okay.
I'm saying society.
Okay.
If you've put out an what's it called, a job application, a job advert for a babysitter, and the first person that turns up is this gentleman we're talking about, covered in tattoo. I don't know. I'm curious, and I'm very nosy.
Yeah.
I want to know why you covered in ink. I want to talk to that person. But most people slam the door.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I would do the same thing too. I would talk to them and find out, but I wouldn't make the instant judgment of, oh, they're probably doing something, and then just shut them down instantly.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. So the society thinks, oh, you look good. He's wearing a suit. He's got a tie on. His hair is well combed. So he must be trustworthy.
Yeah.
And then someone turns up in tattoo, piercing, and everything. And go, oh, this looks like a criminal. But is that well? Is that the standard, or is that just societal expectation? That's the mark society's put on.
Yeah, I feel like society's tried to make it that if you don't fall into the very corporate, or if you don't look the part, you aren't the part.
Okay.
A suit now has become a staple of just somebody who looks smart or who does good or is all this, but Even now, majority of the time, the people in the suits are the ones doing the worst things because they're the most disconnected from actual reality. They're not. They're not. They don't have any point of reference for anything normal. They don't know people living in all these areas. They're very disconnected, so they will do things in a disconnected way.
And that brings us to what Matthew chapter 23, verse 28 says. He said, outwardly you look like righteous people, but inwardly your hearts are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. That's the NLT translation. So again, that's what the scripture is saying, just exactly what we're saying now. The outward look, all well put together, very well ticks all the boxes. But inwardly, so that's what we're talking about. You don't recognize a rapist, a murderer, or a thief from the way they dressed. Yeah. Do you remember when they used to say armed bandits wear masks over their faces to cover themselves so you don't recognize them? And then we came to 2020 where you were mandated to wear a mask. So I was just thinking, imagine ringing the police in 2019 and say there's a masked man in front of my house and you expect the police to turn up. Why? Because that everyone just knows automatically that's a thief. Yeah. And then in 2020 or 2021, you ring the police and say, there's a man in front of my house without a mask. It's just the upside downness of the world right now. Yeah. Everything we know, everything we understood has just gone the other way. So we know appearance can be very deceiving. And again, the scripture tells us that. It says appearance can be very deceiving. And even the Bible tells that in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30. It said, charm can be deceiving and beauty fades away. But a woman or a person who fears and honors the Lord deserves to be praised. So it doesn't matter all these beautiful things we're talking about, all this glorious fashion and clothing, everything. I like that word. I keep coming to it. Facade. So we're all creating a package that we want people to buy into, and then we're all wearing a mask to cover or to shield our real selves, and we're only portraying what we want people to see per time and per place. So if I'm with you, I'm a different person. I go somewhere else, I become what they expect me to be, but not necessarily a good thing. Because sometimes we act, like you said, you act in a certain way to certain people to be their friends. Yeah. So what do you say about that? So do you think there's a great divide between my generation and your generation in appearances?
Yeah, I would say so. Over the years, even for me growing up, I've seen over the years how appearance has become it's been given way more importance than it used to have, or than it should have, to be honest. Like with again, just with the development of social media and trends and stuff like that, appearance has become it's become almost like the first thing the first and only thing people judge you on. And then if you pass that mark, then they will judge you on everything else. So it's not even a case of, oh, you look good. Okay, that's fine. You look good. And then I'll start talking to you. It's, do you look good? Okay. You don't look good. I won't talk to you. Oh, you do look good. Okay. I'll start now. I'll start narrowing down everything that you do. And then after that, they decide. But that is, it plays a much bigger role in my generation, at least. Just how people look, how they dress, how they act, what they do around others, how they do it. It's become, I feel like it's become a lot of acting and putting on a show. And uh, I've seen it when people slip up, and when they stop putting on that show, when they stop showing that facade, they then get exposed. But who can you blame? Who do you blame? The person who's putting the facade on, or the situation or the institution that makes them feel like they have to put the facade on to be accepted? It really just boils down to that, to be honest.
Well, this is a very interesting topic, but what it boils down to is what the Bible says. That's the standard we should base our lives on. And when we look at what the scripture tells us in Ecclesiastes chapter 1, Solomon was very clear about that. It says, vanity upon vanity, all is vanity. So whatever profit a man has in his labor will still be taken under the sun. As one generation is passing away, another generation is coming. But the earth remains the same, so there's nothing new under the sun. Everything we're seeing now has at one time occurred or happened. But how did they manage it that we still got this far? They must have happened before. People must have seen these things before, done these things before, but here they are, they've come this far and they're still going. But like you said, it's that wanting to judge people based on what they appear and not who they are. And it limits people in what they can achieve. Because if you've put a cap on what I can do because of what I look like or how I sound, it means I can't really go that far.
Or if you've put a cap on where you could go because of the people you think you should talk to, or the people you think you should be interacting with because of how they look or because of how they act, you could completely miss out on another opportunity because you're not talking to somebody who doesn't look like
you.
or who doesn't follow the same rules that you.
Wow, that's really deep. I think that's a wrap for today. There's so much we can. If we keep going on, I mean, it's a lot. It's a never-ending topic, and it's ever changing. I mean, by the time we look at the news today or go out, we'll probably see some things that we could add to it. But we're talking about appearances. Is it, or are you classifying people according to what they look like, how they sound, the beautiful people, the handsome people, the good-looking ones, the well-dressed ones, the rich ones, the well-to-do, the popular influencers, the celebrities, or are you classifying them as the academias, the ones who are smart, the brainy people? Are you thinking, oh, I'm going to be my own person and create my own persona wherever I go? Appearances is not who you are, it's what you appear to be. And I think that's just it. Appearance. You appear to be that. You're not that. So we want to say, start showing who you are. Take the mask off. Take the appearance off. Stop performing. Stop acting. And start showing your real self. Most people will like some people better if they show them their real selves rather than show the self they think people want to know. I would say thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed yourself and you got some things. We want to hear what you say. Jay has something to add to that.
Yes, we'll. These will be posted on Spotify. That's probably where you're going to be hearing this. Just follow Women of Light Media and stay updated for when we post more podcasts and more things to come. Yeah. If you like it, though, share it with a friend. Tell them to come and listen to it. Ask them a question about it. Get your grandma to listen to it. Get everybody to listen to it.
And if you'd like to be our guest, leave us a message and we'll get back to you. We expect you to leave us a comment, a message, add to what we've discussed. We're not experts, like we say, we're just having fun. And for those of you who don't know, I'm the mom and he's the son. So wait, wait, package. Feel free to be part of our group, our friends. We would love to hear from you, however, just to know what you think and how you see this topic we just talked about, appearance. Hoping to hear from you soon and looking forward to meeting some of you online. Until we come to you next time, take care of yourself. Bye.